What's up, everybody? I'm Ron.
And I'm Toya.
And this is Conversations Over Coffee.
Just want to thank everybody for tuning in to our last two episodes, The Couple Behind the Cup and our episode on relationships. You can check both of those out on our YouTube channel. We also post on our TikTok channels when we'll be having new episodes out. So make sure you join our TikTok channel to get those notifications. We're also on Instagram, and we'll be listing all of this information in our YouTube videos as well. So all of that information will be there.
Definitely. We're going to get into this a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about what's in our glass real quick. If you see, we're both sipping on a little bit of bourbon. That should tell you it's been a little rough week. We are sipping on a little bit of Jack Daniel's 12 year. I don't know if you guys are into bourbon, but this is a highly allocated bottle, which means it's kind of hard to find. It's pretty pricey. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's pretty good. It does smell like banana bread, though. But Toya does like it.
I do like it.
So we're going to sip on this a little bit while we talk. Also, I want to go and talk about the album cover. We did not have time to post it on our TikTok page, so I just kind of want to go over it real quick. This is Earl Klugh and Bob James. They are kind of legends in the jazz game. They put together this album called Two of a Kind. They also have a bunch of different jazz artists on it. Really good album. If you're into jazz and you haven't heard it, go check it out. Two of a Kind by Earl Klugh and Bob James.
Okay. I'm going to do things a little differently today. And before we get into our regular episode, we just want to dedicate this episode to a loss that we had this week, and that was of our family pet, Samantha. She was our female boxer, and she did have surgery, kind of a major surgery. She is 10 years old, or was 10 years old, because she did end up passing from the surgery. So we won't be doing our regular episode. We're just going to be getting to a little something different today, just because, again, the week was kind of hectic, unexpected, and we kind of just want to talk to you guys today on, how do you cope with situations like that, unexpected mishaps, or situations that arise.
Right. If any guys have had like a family pet and lost them, you guys kind of know the challenges that come along with that. So we just kind of want to discuss that. Give a little bit of, little flowers to Sam,
Yeah.
I'll kind of go into it, we, Sam has been around 10 years, as Toya said. I have not had the pleasure of being around Sam for that entire 10 years. I've been around here for like the last 4 years, on a daily basis, not as long, but we kind of developed a special bond. I tell everybody that, that's my smoke buddy. I have a routine, and we've talked about this kind of in the previous episodes. I come in from work, and I let the dogs out. I feed them. We do have a male boxer, Rex.
Yeah.
So I feed them. They come in the house. It's my time to unwind from work. Get my mind right. I used to sit in my car, and now I come and sit down at the dining room table, and I smoke. And Sam always would, come up right next to me, and she'd wanna.
She does that.
Yeah,
that was her thing.
Right, she wanna smoke with me. So, we kind of built that bond. Kind of generated like a communication, kind of through that.
Yeah.
Where she would I could tell things that she wanted. Based on where she would go, how she would be, and stuff like that. So, these pets, they become family members.
Yes, definitely.
You build these bonds and relationships with them. They get you through emotional times. When you're feeling down, you can always look at your pet and get that, uplifting moment.
Definitely.
So just, kind of, dealing with that.
She was definitely an emotional support, for the family, the kids. Again, the kids were very young when Sam came into their lives. So again, it was very hard, just for the loss in itself. Right. Sam had her own little personality. We have two boxers. I don't know if you've ever, if anyone has ever had a boxer, the breed. They're very intelligent dogs, and to playful. Me, they're playful. They're human-like to me. Their personalities, I would always. Sam had one special quality about her, and she would always speak. There's dogs that can talk, and she would always, speak to us in some type of way, when she needed something. So, that was very special about her. So it was definitely a shocker.
Even going to like the human part of it, it just kind of made me think about it. Because like how Rex, I don't know if you guys are familiar with boxers and how they are, and I don't know if it's like a hip thing or what, but the way they sit like a human, like.
Yeah,
they don't sit like a regular dog. Yeah, like they don't sit on their butt. Like they sit more on their hips, and their legs are kind of up. So it does look very. I remember when I first took a picture of it and sent it to my mom. Like, look how Rex be sitting around.
Yeah. He'll come down. He'll be sitting up like this on his, his legs sitting up, his hand. So again, they are wonderful dogs to have. Sam needed surgery. She had ended having gallstones. So again, like I said, she was 10 years old.
A lot of gallstones.
Thinking now, the challenge for me is, should I have got the surgery, or shouldn't I have? I know she needed the surgery, but again, just wondering if she could handle it would have kind of maybe made me think of, look at things differently. But again, I'm happy that we did make the choice, because we did really feel like she would pull through and had hopes of that.
Again, and even, the way the gallstones was affecting her,
Mm-hmm.
She was using the bathroom a lot. She couldn't hold it, so she would end up peeing in the house from time to time.
Yeah.
So she had challenges that, I think that the surgery was definitely needed.
Yeah.
I just think that maybe, with her age and the other things that was possibly going on, she just, the recovery was hard on her.
Yeah. And the reason why we're kind of speaking about this today is just, to kind of ask you guys and just to touch base kind of which connects to our last episodes on, just how do you cope with things as a family unit, as a couple, as partners,
right.
How do you, lend your support, making sure that, you're pushing through this, in these unexpected times. It just doesn't have to be a loss of a pet. It could be a loss of a loved one.
Definitely.
It could be, some type of situation out of the norm that
right.
disrupts your week. So I would say, if Ron, I would not have been able to do any of this if Ron was not here. He was definitely emotional support for me and the kids. And he did make sure that he handled, Sam, after her passing, which was, great. So, I just want to say thank you.
My pleasure. And you would have got through it. You would have been fine. You're a strong woman. You're not going to get through, they would have got through it fine.
Well, it's rough. It's still rough now.
But again, it just goes to show that the support is a big thing. Even, my mom and my aunt are big dog people, and they just recently lost a pet a couple months ago. They've been reaching out. Kim, your sister, sent flowers.
Everybody's been
getting a ton of support from people. And even like, we were talking, we didn't know what to do. Neither one of us have ever been in this situation.
We never thought this day would come.
Yeah. So, my first thing was, my mom, I know that they've had pets and they've had pets pass, so I called her, but I forgot. Like, they didn't have any pets that passed from natural causes. Yeah. All theirs were health issues where they had to end up putting them down. So, just that process of trying to figure out what to do next, call the vet, We called a couple pet cemeteries.
Animal hospitals.
End up finding a pet cremation place that is actually nationwide.
Yeah.
They have a location here in Michigan, and we ended up calling and dealing with them, and they were amazing.
Yeah, they were definitely, Ron, again, in the midst of, and, not just disclose too much information, but again, just sometimes things comes into. But Ron had a chance with, he dealt with taking Sam and had a chance to experience, the intake, and he I'm very pleased with the reviews he gave and raved on how compassionate they were to our loss. So again, I dealt with them during the pickup. So again, we did decide to get Sam cremated, which again, that part was hard as well. Having still to go pick up the remains, and just deal with that part.
And even the decision of doing the cremation, I think we all agreed that we didn't want to bury her in a pet cemetery. We didn't think that was what anybody wanted. But there still was a decision because they do what they call a
spreading.
They do a private cremation and a communal cremation. Well, with a private cremation is just your pet and you get the remains. If you do a communal one, they do a group of pets together, and then they end up spreading the ashes at a pet cemetery. So, even that was a decision that we had to make.
Yeah. So, again, these are all things to consider. I know when we get the new puppy, again, the excitement. No,
when you talking about it? She's talking like we're about to get one out.
When you get the new puppy in the beginning, again, you never think about these days that will come in the end. So again, we thought Sam would be with us forever, and
even if not forever, we didn't think that it would be this soon. We thought that it would be, we thought we had some years left still.
Yeah, definitely. And we thought the surgery was going to be successful, but again, she could have had some other underlining issues. So I would say know your breed as well, because again, boxers do come with several issues. Just the year before, she had to get a tumor removed from her paw, a fatty little tumor. So again, know your breed, because there's some do come with different health issues that could come along later in life.
And the vet even told us that, even with the gallstones, that is a very genetic thing.
Yeah, genetic, right.
So again, I'm a rot person. I love rots. But anybody that knows anything about rots, they have bad hips. There's a lot of things that can go with them. So you have to be aware of those things and understand how to handle that and take care of it.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah, but how do you guys cope with just unexpected situations that jump up in your week? Again, we had to. That affected us recording our podcast, our next episode, still having to be, emotionally supportive, to the rest of the family, and even have to jump back into action just, within the work week, and in our day,
And we do have a male boxer that still needs, love and attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, we have to make sure that we fit that in. He's been getting a ton of it.
A ton of love.
He's been getting a ton of love the last week.
He has been. But again, still, just we don't know. I feel like we know where he is with handling the loss of his companion. He's doing great, but again, they are a lot of responsibility. So, these are things to consider.
Definitely, when you're going to think about getting that cute little puppy.
Right.
Think about all that comes with it.
Right. I know we used to talk about getting other...
But that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
What's the future? Do you see yourself getting another puppy? I know you made a comment the other day about it, and you'll never get another dog.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard right now. Again, this is very hard with the detachment. You know, walking around the house, with memories, visions of, sound.
Just the fact that, and I don't know, like we said, we got our dogs do some things that, I'm not sure. Like upstairs in our hallway, both of them lay in the hallway and they do not move.
No,
so you have to step over them, and just the fact that Sam's not in her usual spot, the landing on the the steps going downstairs, by the front door, on the landing by the back door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She
had her spots, but like even her not being there is an adjustment.
It's going to be an adjustment. But I would just say, this happened in the latter part of last week. Middle part, yeah. But it has gotten better, and easier every day.
I mean, and again, the support helps.
I was going to say, just being able to, deal with that as a family unit. Right. And we're still dealing with it with the family as a family unit, with everyone actually pitching in to even be support to Rex, Right. And no, we made it through. And, again, like I said, these are things that, sometimes unexpected things happen. Yeah. But, you have the support there. And it also, again, from friends as well. It doesn't have to be your immediate family, just having that support is great.
Yeah. Definitely. So again, let us know what you guys do and how you handle, a loss of a pet, a loved one, any type of thing that comes in, like Toya said, mishaps that might happen in your life. Yeah. Just kind of throw it out in the comments, and again, follow, subscribe. Even if you don't have the time to necessarily watch our podcast at the time, subscribe to our channel. It helps us out. Helps us reach our goal, which we'll talk about in another episode. But I want to kind of jump into what we're going to be talking about in our next episode, and that's, a male and female perspective on things. We're going to try and keep this more of a fun, humorous type thing. There may be a couple serious things in there, but we want to get a little feedback from you guys on what are some male and female perspective things that you guys might want to hear us talk about. Right. One of the things that we're going to probably throw out there, and this is a really common one, but we can't take showers together.
And he's referring to temperature.
Temperature in the water.
Now, I'm a hot girl.
Too hot.
I'm a hot girl.
That also applies to temperature in the house. That's been probably our biggest back and forth. But again, you ladies, y'all like that temperature set at 78, 79 degrees. I'm a straight up 67 degree all year round, fans running, all that stuff. So, again, those are some of the things. Yeah, those are some of the things that we're going to talk about. If you guys got any other ideas, make sure you throw it out there.
Yeah,
let us know.
Yeah, make sure to leave those comments under this video on our YouTube channel. Let us know, how do you cope with again, family mishaps? What do you do to support your family, partner, children, during rough times? So remember to follow, and share, and join us for our next episode.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Got anything else you want to add?
I don't know. I think I'm good.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see you guys next time.